Straight out of the box, out of the main single-player Final Fantasies, this is my most favourite Final Fantasy in nearly 15 years.
Spoken true.
Well, excluding remakes, that's quite a feat. I think it's great, but I definitely have issues with it.
Say that again.
I mean, it's a great game, it's just missing a lot of the core things I really enjoy in RPGs or Final Fantasy games. I'll get into that later.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I will say Final Fantasy 16 is clearly heavily influenced by Game of Thrones.
Out of my sight, witch!
It's very much undeniable, but the magical element is a bit more front and centre. If you have watched Game of Thrones, you'll probably pick up on a lot of the parallels with the characters, from Cersei Lannister to Hodor. I do like a lot of the characters in this world, but it does lean a little bit too much on Game of Thrones. Gav is a side character that grew on me a lot. He serves as your scout and tracker, and he's fun to have around.
Oh, it's only me!
And it does sound like he's from Newcastle as well, so extra points for that. I really like it in Final Fantasy games when the big summons are at the core of the story and take centre stage. They're referred to as Eikons in 16, and we've got Ifrit, Shiva, Garuda, Titan. We've got a load of the classic Final Fantasy summons, and whenever these guys and girls come on screen, hands down, these are my most favourite parts of 16. I'll be honest, when I saw some of the big Eikon fights in the game's trailers, I was worried that they'd be really cinematic in a bad way with lots of QTE button prompts, but I was really surprised how good they are. You'll get to play Ifrit in some pretty insane action combat or spectacle fighter moments. I was getting a lot of goosebumps and chills, and as usual, the Final Fantasy music is top notch. One of my favourite pieces plays during the Titan fight, and here's a little preview. If you've played the MMO Final Fantasy XIV, you'll pick up on a few things that have carried over, and some of the moments remind me of some of the raiding mechanics in 14. Hey, trying to grow the channel, I'm trying to reach 10,000 subs, so if you can help with any likes or subs, that would be an amazing help. I'm RPG focused and there's plenty of Final Fantasy related stuff to come. Thank you. So with 16, the developers have thrown away turn-based combat completely, in exchange for more action RPG high spectacle combat. Combat is very flashy and over the top.
How gratifying.
I found that gameplay started out quite challenging. Basically you dodge with R1, fire and charge up magic with triangle, and mash square for basic attacks. And to be honest, my fingers would get tired, especially from trying to hold the triangle button while also mashing the square button, trying to maximize my combos and weave in bursts of magic. That was my first impressions, but once you've unlocked a few summons or icons, the combat becomes a bit brain dead easy. You can literally just rotate the icons' abilities and crush everything. My favourite ability is Ifrit's Ignition, where you can just ram into anything like a freight train. There's just something really satisfying about it, I love it.
That's him! The one who killed Lost and Fingers! Take his head off!
So if you're more of a Final Fantasy veteran who's used to turn-based combat, hang in there, it does get a lot easier once you've unlocked more abilities.
You're right.
I liked how Final Fantasy VII Remake was a hybrid of action and turn-based, but it's all action with 16. There are also accessories that autoplay the game for you. They're an option, but meh, not my kind of thing. It's honestly not that hard, and there's only one way to get better in my opinion.
I didn't know there'd be a dragon!
You've got all these things to make the game easier, but there's no options to make the game more challenging until New Game Plus. So I like combat, albeit it does get a bit repetitive with very similar enemies being thrown at you over and over throughout the game. For the most part, you're playing the main character Clive.
It's Clive.
And you won't be able to customize or control your party members. Well, you can give your doggy companion Torgal, you can give him a few extra commands, but I found he does them himself anyway.
The beast has the appetite of a behemoth. Just this very morn, I found him with his nose buried in my nuts.
Like any RPG, you can level up, wear some equipment, and you can also earn ability points that you can spend to unlock more of your summon's powers on very simple sphere grids. The customization is a bit bare bones in 16, and it's where the game falls a bit short for me personally.
Always something, isn't there?
I would have loved to see something like Final Fantasy VII Remake's materia system, or a proper in-depth sphere grid like in 10, or even 9's point system. That would have been decent. I feel like there's a bit of a lack of agency around 16, but at the very least we're allowed to backtrack and revisit older locations, albeit if only for fetch quests or side quests.
Whatever am I to do now, Clive?
About what?
I've 2 dresses that need stitching, but I haven't got a scrap of linen.
The bounty system was decent. That was hunting notorious monsters. What I like about that is that you're not given a waymarker. The bounty only gives you the name of a location, and you'll have to do a bit of map reading to find the hunt. Overall, I like the story, but it loops between hunting down summons and insane cinematic moments to chilling out at your hideaway and doing menial tasks. Pacing is kind of all over the place, but those slower moments are worth it just to experience those larger, epic Eikon moments. It's a great game. It currently sits at a Metacritic score of 87 and a user score of 83. And yeah, I'd agree with the 87, that's what I'd give it. Absolutely love the icons, goosebumps and chills whenever they'd come on screen, and like I said, my most favourite new Final Fantasy in 15 years. It just falls a bit short from what I'd personally want from an RPG or Final Fantasy. For me, it comes down to more agency, control, and customization, and I've just had enough of fetch quests or side quests for one lifetime. What do you think of Final Fantasy 16? Too much Game of Thrones, or not enough RPG, or not enough Final Fantasy? Let me know in the comments. I'll try to read and reply to everything. I'm going to try New Game Plus and see how that goes, but for now, peace.